Hey everyone, Greta here. Today I'll be sharing with you a tip on how to fly easily in Kuniyasana 2. So for those of us who are doing Kuniyasana 2, which is the flying splits, if you feel that you have to summon a lot of strength and make sure that that is a very perfect day when all the stars are aligned, then you can fly up into KA2, then you might want to check out if what you're doing is indeed correct. I rarely use the term correct is because there is not really like a right or wrong in yoga, but then there are certain techniques that you could use to have an easier time to float up, i.e. the arm balance. Especially for arm balance, when we see people doing the arm balance, we don't really see the entire picture. We actually see just a layer of it. We see the external, but what the person is actually doing is or could be something entirely different. Take Kuniyasana 2, for example. When you see people doing the flying splits, you just see people balancing on their hands, just kind of lifting off. So when you're actually doing it, when you're learning to do it, a lot of times you tend to just dump the entire body weight forward and crash down into the floor. It's very tempting, it's very easy to do that simply because it's a very, very heavy shape. You have to bear a lot of weight on the arms and shoulders, especially when you're so close to the floor. It's so easy to just crash down. So if you are doing this, so I'll minus the front leg just to make things easier because I don't want my front leg to be cropped. So a lot of people, when they do Kuniyasana 2, they come down to the floor and they just maybe just kind of hop up, or maybe occasionally if they do hop far enough, maybe they will float. If you're doing that, then you would have a very, very challenging time to get up. It's because you're not really getting the concept of arm balance. Because when we are doing arm balance, we are actually playing with the balancing point of the body. Especially for a pose like Kuniyasana 2, where it's so close to the floor, the body tends to be very heavy. And it's so easy to just dive forward. But if you do dive forward, you're not moving the body forward enough for the rest of the body to float. So instead of just kind of diving towards the ground and hopping, what you actually want to do is feel the entire body shifting forward while keeping the arms pushing away from the floor so that you can actually lift. And the chest does not want to sink down, it wants to keep floating up. So what you actually want to do is doing the exact same thing with minus the front leg. So instead of coming down towards the floor, you want to imagine the chest is reaching forward, leading the entire body reaching forward so much that the top leg naturally float up. And the arms want to feel pushing the floor away instead of crashing down. So as you can see, what I was doing just before, my entire body was going front, kind of like a car, okay? But as soon as I dip the chest down, kind of like a plane descending, body feels heavy. There's no way for the body to go. And so the leg, and the hips would just come down to the floor. It is actually easier if the front and the back leg are doing the same thing. Like if the front leg is also pointing straight forward, then it's much easier for the entire body to go forward. But again, be mindful that the front leg needs to be pointing forward instead of pointing to the side. There are a lot of people when they're doing KA2, the leg tends to point out to the side, kind of like a 2 o'clock direction instead of 12 o'clock. But now once the leg is guided to the side, and some people have no problem with that, while some people would kind of sway to one side as well. So again, just be mindful. You want wherever the front leg is, whether it's pointing straight out to the side or bent, the entire body to be moving forward. Like a car, like a train, like a bus, just moving straight ahead. Arms pushing the floor away as if you're doing a cobra instead of in a chaturanga, because a lot of, even though yes, on the external it looks like a chaturanga and it is a chaturanga, but then a lot of people when we do chaturanga we tend to sink down to the floor, whereas in cobra Sorry, that word suddenly slipped. You want to feel it pushing the floor away. So you want to have that bit of motion happening just to keep the chest afloat. Arm balance, especially in K2, is a good test of patience as well as strength. Of course, you need a lot of strength and mobility and flexibility in order to go up, but then it also is a test of patience because you do need to shift forward far enough for the back leg to float. And a lot of people just don't have that patience. They just want to get up, but that requires a bit more time. That's it for my sharing for today. Hope it helps for those of us who are trying to, nail that Kundinyasana too. Drop me a comment and let me know if it works for you and practice with me. I do teach online and in person, so drop me a DM and I'll get back to you ASAP. Take it easy.